Hi guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm here again to have another bit of a craft with me. Feel free to grab your stash and come along and kind of have a play, or grab a cup of tea and, just have a watch, kind of, up to you really. So I've been working with my very vintage kit. I absolutely love the colours and things on this kit. And I had done a couple of videos, but I was kind of struggling with kind of making videos at the time and wasn't really kind of feeling it. So hopefully I'm kind of getting over that slightly now. So what I've done kind of in the meantime, I just made one or two things while I was kind of off video. So that I could kind of, come along and obviously continue with the sequence that we've been kind of doing. So obviously we made this one together, we've made this one together, and we made these two. And then we just kind of had this just with one of the offcuts of the sheets of paper that we just kind of said that we could include as a kind of insert somewhere. So if I just pop them to one side. So what else I did was I finished kind of fussy cutting the other pieces from the kit, because I actually had forgotten kind of the other pieces that I had, so kind of kept on pulling the pieces in and thinking, well, that's really strange. I thought there were really a lot of pieces, and obviously now I know that there really are a lot of pieces, so they're all here now. So we've got those. We've also obviously got background pages and things. So if I just show you the kind of pieces that I've made so far. So some of them need decorating up, so let me just pull in a blank journal to kind of have a look and see how they would look being used in a journal. So I just took one of the background pages and kind of tore around it, because I quite like having these kind of corner tucks. So obviously that would just be glued in kind of on two sides, and you would just tuck that, have it as a tuck here for kind of, I'll just pull one in, just journaling cards to kind of slot in like that. So all I did was kind of pulled in, one of these kinds of pieces, tore it off here and just backed that onto some lace, if you can see. Bit of doily, and this was some coloured doily, and then some lace trim and some faux de Monty at the top. So that's that piece. Then I created a little kind of fold down kind of flip here. So again, I used one of these little pieces from the kit, just backed it onto some lace here, and then just kind of cut this into a little kind of fold down flip. Added some of this bright pink ribbon as a kind of tab there, some lace across here, and then I just popped on again, I just kind of fussy tore a kind of piece there, popped it on, sort of almost like a little button here. And I've popped some lace underneath that. And then what I might do is actually glossy accent that. So we might do that in a minute. So I'll just pop that to one side to kind of remember I have more to do with that. Here I've just made the basic of the basics of one of those kind of fold out pockets, which I did a tutorial on. So again, obviously we can kind of decorate that up. So I've got that with needing more to do. So I'll pop that to one side. Then I created another pocket here. I just kind of took some of the background page, and again, I just kind of folded it round and created a little pocket in there. I popped on one of the journaling cards at the top so it wasn't kind of white inside. And then I took one of the banner pieces, backed it onto some lace trim and glued that on. And I also attached some of this lace trim down here. So really pretty kind of pocket. And again, that's how that would kind of look on a page. So really pretty. Then here I just made a little kind of fold out kind of envelope, like a side loading envelope. So again, you could just kind of tuck things in there. And what I did, I kind of made a massive flap here, so as to really kind of get the most of that gorgeous background image. So again, might just decorate that up with maybe some bling or something like that. So again, I'll pop that to one side knowing it needs a bit more. And then here I created just another pocket. Again, all I did was I took some of the background page, trimmed it down into a kind of rectangle, took another background sheet and tore around the lady here. And then I just folded her over around here. So it's kind of a pocket there. And the bottom, I just glued on at the bottom. I didn't kind of fold it over and make it like a really big pocket, if you see what I mean. I just folded it down at the bottom. So again, that would be a pocket there like that. And then what I've done, I just took another one of those centre parts. I mean, they're just really useful line binding. And then just popped on some more of that bright pink doily, and I popped this onto some lace, as you can see. So I quite like that journaling card, strangely enough, actually in there. So, but that's how that would obviously look on a page. Just pop that out of the way. And then the final piece that I've done, I just glued a couple of background sheets together and have trimmed them down. I haven't quite decided what to do with this yet, but I've just kind of glued them together so they're kind of thicker than just copy paper. And they were just kind of, technically they were scraps, because on the back they had old printouts from other things that I've been doing. So it was just a good way of kind of using up some of my kind of pieces of paper that, you know, effectively would be wasted, I guess. So haven't quite decided yet what to do with this. So I'll just pop that to one side. So before we kind of embellish or decorate any of the pieces that we've already done, in fact, I will kind of get glossy accent in this, because, you know, that could actually technically be drying whilst the video is kind of running. So just kind of squeeze out a little bit of my glossy accents. Oops, it's running out, so I've got loads of it in there, but enough. So let's just give it another shake. Come on. Oh, come on. And it's quite blocked up and clogged up. It's quite old. I've had it for a really long time, this bottle. So, you know, in fairness, it's been running for a long time, this one. So I might just be really messy and kind of just dab this around with my finger rather than a paintbrush. So, okay. Just kind of go as close to the edges as I can without kind of getting it too much on the ribbon. That's the kind of tab there. So see if I've kind of done that. Okay, so that's just kind of going to be left to dry. So I'll just pop that out of the way for a moment. Just mop my finger. So before we kind of get decorating any of these, I'm just going to take my cardigan off because I'm actually kind of warm now. What I wanted to have a go at doing, and again, I don't know whether this is going to work because obviously I haven't tried this. I wanted to have a go at making a kind of snippety centre piece, if that makes sense, or kind of an edge piece, a bit like we did with the Blossom in Blooms, or the Burst in Blooms kind of, sorry, not the Burst in Blooms, like the like the flower snippet rolls in the Fabulous Flowers series. Sorry, I can't get my words out today. Clearly still not feeling quite myself, but hope to get in there. So obviously you've got an abundance of pieces in this kit, and you know, I mustn't get hung up on kind of not wanting to use things. So what I thought we could do is kind of just have a go at kind of making a piece that would run down the edge of the page. Now, I don't know whether, you know, because as I say, I haven't done one of these before, but I don't know whether we would kind of maybe back it on some lace. So as we had kind of lace poking out, you know, because these bits are going to effectively be kind of different sizes, you know, or whether we should just kind of roll with it as a piece of paper, effectively, if you see what I mean. Let me just pull in a couple more bits. So just having a look to see what bits might be kind of good to use. Oops, move that out of the way. So we could incorporate this. This is one of the tags, but what we could do is kind of cut around, oh, not cut, sorry, tear around it. Maybe try and kind of incorporate some of the flowers. And again, I mean, obviously if I think this looks too bulky, we will, you know, make it smaller. Tear some of the flowers off or tear some of the leaves off. You know, it's not kind of set in stone. And obviously, you know, as I say, I haven't tried this previously. This was just something I kind of thought of this morning and thought, right, I'm going to have a go of that this afternoon. So I probably should have actually done one prior to coming on filming just to check how it looked, but I can't really be doing with things like that. So I like to just crack on and see how it kind of looks. So I mean, this might not kind of work quite because obviously I'm kind of covering up some of my images here. But I guess what we could do, if we kind of do them, you know, the right kinds of images, it maybe won't be so vital to kind of keep them showing. So, I mean, like this piece, could kind of tear that down. Maybe have that kind of here. Do you know what? I'm going to move the lace out the way first and build this up, and then we can decide whether we want to have it going on lace or not. I think is probably the best way to do this. So just kind of build it up like that. Do we have one of those there? Not sure I quite like the blue, because that to me just feels like just suddenly I have blue out of nowhere, which seems a bit strange. But what we could do, I guess, is kind of tear this one down. Just obviously the matching kind of flowers. Maybe have that at the top. Let's just bring this down. I mean, you know, this is just kind of an idea, and obviously if it doesn't work, you know, it doesn't work. But we're just kind of trying things out really here. Seeing what might look kind of nice and different on a page. So just bring that down. Maybe we could have this one here. And if we could kind of even hook it over like that. And maybe that one there. Something like that. And then what I was thinking was we could kind of build it up with a few kind of flowers and things like that. So I think what I do is get kind of gluing some of these bits together. So on here, just need to decide, do I want it kind of over or under? Let's have a look. And do we want this one over or under? Decisions. Right, I'm kind of thinking like that. So I'm going to glue on here. Just opened a brand new tube of glue, so hopefully this one's going to be pretty good. Well, for the moment anyway, until it kind of decides not to be. But so if I just glue that onto there, like that, and then we're going to take these flowers here. Just need to decide. So can't remember now how I thought that looked best, whether I preferred it over or under. Hold on. We could kind of have it down here, I guess, at the bottom. Let's just have a look. No, I quite like it up here because it's kind of bringing some width here to the piece. So do I want it like that or like that? I mean, I'm sure this really doesn't matter, but for some reason it does matter to us as crafters, doesn't it? So I'm just going to kind of pop that on there. And I'm going to kind of tuck that leaf poking out, if you can see that. So I'm just going to press that down at the back with the tissue, because obviously I kind of applied glue everywhere just to be on the safe side. So I really kind of got it, really got it stuck down. Let me just bring in a kind of scrap piece of paper to kind of be gluing onto. Okay, right. So we've got those couple of bits there. Now I have got some of that gorgeous doily. That might be quite nice to kind of have, just maybe kind of poking out. So I might kind of include that there. And then maybe this here. Yeah, that looks quite nice to me. So I'm just going to kind of pop a bit of glue on here to glue the doily down. Oops. So it's a bit like, I suppose, a kind of collage, I suppose, but kind of in a, you know, like a belly band kind of way. That makes sense. And then I quite like that with that pink flower. Be careful that I don't glue that like that. So let me just move now the journal. Kind of, actually I'm not moving the journal because I was keeping the journal there to make sure it kind of didn't go too long for the page. So if we kind of said that it was going to be like that, we just need to kind of fill in one or two more pieces. So just deciding, do we want to kind of have another photo, or, you know, picture, which may be nice, in which case we could kind of cut the, or, you know, tear the leaves off so they're not overhanging in that man's face. That might be kind of quite a good idea. And then, what do you think? So let's try that. So I'm just being very decisive today. Well, trying to be, at this moment anyway. Who knows how long that's going to continue for. It may be, maybe already I'll have changed my mind in a moment, but I'm kind of, you know, stop being decisive, but oops. So, and if we kind of pull the hem down, just kind of checking that this is then more or less, excuse my being over the camera a bit there. So, and we'd want him kind of about here-ish. So I quite like that. So I'm just going to kind of, whoa, apply a bit of glue on here where we're going to kind of stick him down like that. Okay, and just turn it over, make sure that's kind of glued there. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to, I think, trim that down, or I might just tear it off. What do you reckon? I'll just tear that off across the top, like that. In fact, I might even tear that edge piece off in a moment. And then what I might need to do now is actually add one more thing at the bottom. So I'm just going to stick that leaf down. I like to just make sure that everything's properly stuck down and not going to be coming apart. So we've got that one. And then just have a look through the bits and bobs that I've got here, because I'm pretty sure that I've got some more of these kind of yellow and pink flowers somewhere along the line. So, whoops. So just kind of checking that I'm not overdoing this again. So could have that, but then to me that's kind of going off at a bit of a triangle there, so that's a bit weird. So I'm just going back through my little stash here at the side, see what we've got. So we've got this, which has got some of those flowers. They're not the same, but they are kind of the same colourway, I think. So we've got those. We've got these flowers here, which we could cut those off, or, you know, tear those off. Or we have actually even got one of those pieces with those actual same flowers in. So just deciding which piece looks good to use. Right, so I hold that down with the scissors so it stops moving. We're going to pop that pink flower there. So we could go for this one, which obviously then that's nice because it's the same flowers, you know, that we're actually using. And what I could do is kind of tear this piece off to move it up. We could have these flowers, which obviously match these. So I quite like those. Or we could have these flowers, which are a bit different. No, I'm not having those, so it's between these two. So let's just double check. I do quite like these. I think they're really rather nice. Yeah, let's go for these. So again, I'm just going to kind of fussy tear around these, you know, and we'll kind of see how they look. And obviously, if they don't look right, that's fine, because we can obviously just use, you know, save these and use these in something else. Okay. So what I might do is get rid of this big flower that's kind of making it, again, jut into his neck. And we'll just pop that there. I like that. What does everyone else think? And again, I might just keep this because we could kind of pop this onto a page. Oops, just kind of cut it in half and have it kind of on the edge of a page. So I might keep that. So again, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of pop some glue on here. Oh gosh, no, I've actually stuck it down onto there by accident. Let me mop that up. Okay, so let's just kind of pop that down there and there. So just going to mop that glue that I've accidentally got on there. Okay, so what does everyone think? I think that's quite nice. And kind of something a little bit different as a kind of focal point that I was kind of just thinking could have it as either a belly band or kind of down the edge, really. So just to decide now whether or not we might want to back that onto some lace to kind of give it more of a kind of impact on the page. And obviously, especially if we're going to be using it as any form of kind of tucking things behind, it probably needs a bit of reinforcing. Because it's got a lot of weak spots, if you see what I mean. So we could have that. Just move that to one side while I have a look and see what it looks like on white. So just try it on the white. It's a little bit lost on the white, actually, if I'm truthful. So probably not on the white. Let me pop this flower on here before I forget to do that. Because every time I move it, that flower then, oh gosh, and I'm now struggling again to see the right and the wrong side of the flower. I've said this so many times, but it's really tricky because when you've got the, you know, the light on, it just kind of shines right over it and you can't really kind of tell then, you know, what's the right and the wrong side. So we've got that. I'm going to just tear this down a little bit because this is going to kind of overhang the page quite a bit. So there we go, that's better. So that's better. Or we could kind of pop it onto some sheet music or something. I picked up this book from work, a vintage book, but the pages are quite white, which I rather liked. And actually, if I'm truthful, my friend from work, she saw it in a pile of books that were being thrown out, saying, you know, does anybody want these? And she very kindly picked them up for me, but they've been under my desk for a little while, and I thought I would bring this home because obviously I have got lots of sheet music, but it's mainly quite browny yellow, and this I thought was quite white, which I thought was quite nice and crisp for using with this this journal. Oh, I can't decide now, because what I thought was we could kind of, you know, have it kind of edged on somehow to there. So I just kind of fold that over. I just thought we could kind of have it edged on, obviously going right the way down, so I would obviously take another piece and create another one. It doesn't look quite as good as I'd hoped, actually, if I'm truthful, so I will save that for another piece. So let's just bring that pink lace in again, because I did really quite like it on there. So, right, struggling now to see which is a good piece to use. So maybe that piece there. I just kind of cut down this side, just so that I can then see more how it's looking, kind of if it were on its own like that. So that's it on its own, if it were at the side or kind of obviously in the middle. And then this is it kind of placed on the lace. Again, kind of, you know, to the side or in the middle. Oh, I just don't know. It's just too difficult to decide. Oh, I'm not sure. Not sure. I might have to actually kind of leave that and kind of come back to that in another video, and perhaps people will have commented kind of saying which they think looks better, you know, with the lace or without the lace. So yeah, I might have to do that. I could kind of pop a little ivory coloured flower on here, kind of build it up that way. I mean, that looks really pretty, doesn't it? I wonder if we could have the flower on some of the pink lace. Let's just try that. Oh, the lace just kind of gets a bit lost, really. You can't really kind of see it too much, I think. Maybe it doesn't. Let's try it there. No, definitely not there. Oops. Not there. Could have it there. Again, I'm now in decisions. I said, just now, I said, oh, I'm going to be really decisive in this video, so you're not all just sat there. And this is like, oh, you know, 4 minutes later, and already I'm being really indecisive again. So, oh, ridiculous. Ridiculous. Right. Let's just be decisive. Go for it. Stop mucking about and just get on with it. Right. So I think that's really nice as a kind of piece on a page. So even if we decide not to go for the lace, what I would probably do is kind of glue this onto some other paper so that it's reinforced and much more sturdy, unless I'm just going to have it as a decorative piece at the edge and not use it as any sort of tuck spot. If I'm going to use it either as a belly band or kind of as a like pocket, I would probably kind of reinforce that. I mean, even just with some copy paper, I would just kind of glue it down and then kind of re-tear it around with the copy paper, just so it kind of had something a bit more kind of protective, you know, to make it kind of reinforced and a bit thicker. So yeah, I mean, I really like that. I think that looks really pretty. And actually, to be honest, I don't really think it needs kind of anything else. I don't think it needs lace or anything like that. I will just try a little bit of bling because that's my favourite thing. Just in case we want to have some bling somewhere. So I'll just cut down that into a 3. See whether we want a 3 somewhere. Oops. I mean, we could just have like some bling on there or something. That's quite pretty. But if I'm going to reinforce this, I will probably glue the bling on afterwards, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to kind of smooth it down very well. So that's another kind of piece that I'm quite happy with now, I think. So I will just kind of reinforce that obviously in, you know, quiet time, so that I'm not just, you know, boring everybody by doing that. So let's bring our couple of bits that we've already made, let's bring them back and kind of decorate a couple of those up. So I've got this one here. So again, I just thought I would add just a little bit of bling here. Oops. Could have a little flower somewhere, or we could have, again, kind of a piece from all of our little kind of elements here. And again, we've got that piece there, which is kind of matching obviously those flowers. And actually what we could do is kind of glue that on, and again we could glossy accent that. So I might do that. So let's just push that down. I'm going to hot glue this on, again just for speed, and because it's obviously gluing over the top of the fabric, I then, you know, I know it's kind of stuck down nicely and fully. So just stick that on like that. And then we'll just stick the bling, oops, stick the bling down like that. And then I'll just pull the glossy accents back in. Oh, I just shook it. And it specifically tells you don't shake it, doesn't it? Oh, this is just, again, because I'm kind of here on video and not really fully, you know, fully myself at the moment. So I'm doing lots of stupid things. There we go. Right. No more shaking of the glossy accents. I think it tells you not to shake it because you can get air bubbles. So I have always been very careful not to shake it. I have never shaken a bottle of glossy accents before. So I guess time will tell whether that's kind of made a big, you know, mess of using it. So time will tell. Right, so I'm just going to kind of pop that out of the way to dry, just like the other one. So let me get my tissue, wipe my finger off. Actually, I'm just going to check what the time is, and I should really check them in frame. Right, 32 minutes. So we've obviously got this gorgeous pocket that I just kind of made in, you know, slow time, kind of without video. So just need to kind of decide which way round to have this, whether to kind of have it this way with this beautiful woman or this way with the flower. I think we'll probably go for this way. And again, what we'll probably do is maybe just kind of pop something on to kind of decorate that up. So, I mean, this very vintage kit obviously is incorporating loads and loads and loads of different colours. So, you know, it's kind of a way for me to actually mix a whole bunch of different colours together, which is quite exciting for me because that's an area that, as you know, I kind of struggle with. So this for me is quite a cool way to incorporate colours, really. So, and I've got obviously some lace trim here that we could kind of edge it with lace. So if I just kind of have a look, could have the lace underneath. Oops, that's covering her face completely then. Like that. That's, I think, a bit too big. So have a look at this piece. Nope. Strangely enough, I'm not sure lace is going to look quite right on this one. I mean, I always love lace, as you know, but it's not necessarily kind of going on this quite as I expected. So I might not actually go for lace on here, which of course would be unusual for me. I've got some more white lace. I mean, that probably looks a little bit better. I might not go for any lace, so let's just pop that out of the way. So what we could do instead is obviously pop the piece itself on some lace, maybe kind of more like that, and then we're going to have a blue, you know, turquoise flower. So that's probably looking better. So just kind of just quickly kind of cut around that. I'm not cutting around it to shape or anything, but just more to size, just so it's kind of not too big. So like that. Okay. have it like that. I'm going to pop that blue flower on there, and then I wouldn't mind having some blue up in this corner. So just again have a look through my little pieces here. I have got some of those gorgeous flowers on this tag. The tag with that handsome man. Let me just see. I have got obviously lots of things with those flowers. It's just finding something that's exactly the right size, really. So I wonder if I should cut this out. Probably a bit too kind of monstrous to use that entire piece. Let's just have a look and see what else I've got them. I mean, there's probably some on the collage page, but I was really trying to kind of be a bit sort of, I guess faster kind of thing, so you guys weren't having to sit for quite such a long time just watching me endlessly kind of sort through papers and pages. But I'm just going to see whether I've got some, you know, fast that I can find nice and quickly, not so you're sat waiting around for hours on end. So I'll just bring this in. So, and this was just you know, on copy paper, so it's quite nice to be able to use this. So let's have a look. That one's very tiny. So I've got this piece here, so let's just try and cut this piece out. Obviously this is not the same group of flowers, but it's same enough, if you see what I mean. Well, it's not really the same enough, but it's got the blue. So that's the same enough, isn't it? So if I just kind of pop that on there, and again I'm just going to hot glue this down, and hopefully the hot glue is going to then kind of seep through the lace and kind of glue, you know, the lace down as well then. Just again, so you're not all sat there endlessly watching and waiting for me to do things. So pop that down like that. And then if I just kind of, I might just kind of fussy cut this around. Now this, I'm, you know, not kind of going to town. I'm not kind of making the best job of doing this fussy cutting, because obviously, you know, this is pretty tiny and those flowers are very tiny and very, like delicately shaped, I suppose. So, you know, for me to fussy cut that perfectly would be a stretch of the biggest kind of, yeah, that would be an understatement to call it a stretch, really. So just kind of fussy cut them, you know, as roughly as I could. So I quite like it like that. I think that looks quite nice. You could probably have a little bit of bling somewhere. So I'm just going to kind of cut, oh, not cut, sorry, glue those flowers down. I mean, actually, we could probably have a few more popped up here, because it's a big enough area to get a few more on, isn't it? So let me just pull that page back and see what else we've got of a kind of reasonable size. I'm not sure so much now. Maybe we will have to cut this piece and kind of pop those down. Right, well, let's just go for it, because I mean, I'm forever saying this, but I think I just still can't get over the fact that I can actually just print these off as many times as I like. So I'm still kind of in that mode of, ooh, you know, when you've bought kind of a 12 by 12 pack and then I'm down to my last sheet of something and I just don't want to use it. I mean, that's just me all round. And, you know, even though I can print and print and print these, I still am thinking that, oh, I don't want to kind of use that, you know, because then it's gone. Even though I could just kind of nip down and print some more. But that's probably just me. I don't know whether you guys think that, but I definitely have am kind of that that mentality, I suppose. You know, I don't want to use my last one. I guess it's a bit like when you're a child and you know, like when you've got sweets that you love or something and you don't want to eat your last one. It's a bit like that. Right. Oh, now they look weird. Wish I hadn't kind of glued them down, but never mind. Oh, never mind. Oh, gosh. Why did we do things like this? Right. Well, I'm going to glue this flower down so as it stops keep moving around, because that's very, very annoying, if nothing else. So I think I'm going to glue it at the top because I do quite like that. I mean, I do quite like it down the bottom as well, but actually, just before I commit, let me just check it through the camera, because as I say so many times, it does make a difference kind of viewing it from above. You see, viewing it from above, I kind of probably prefer it down the bottom. Yeah, lucky I viewed it from above. Right, let's just get a hold of that. Just heard my stomach rumbling. Don't know why. It's not really lunchtime yet. Well, it's not lunchtime for me yet. I like to have my lunch quite late in the day because I don't want to be kind of really hungry in the evening. So I like to kind of push my meals as late as I can. Right, so that looks quite pretty. Just going to kind of dab a bit of hot glue there because this trim, this is how it was when I bought it. It's quite creased. So, you know, by just adding that bit of glue kind of helped it to stay stuck down. Now, I don't know what's happened to that piece of, you know, faux de monte that I just cut. And I'm never going to be able to find that in amongst all these bits and bobs. So I'm just going to cut myself a new bit. Like that. And actually, I probably have that now kind of there by the flower. Maybe there. And obviously, it doesn't really kind of need any, but I do love it so much, so I will just pop a bit on. Now, try and mind my fingers here because I'm just going to try and glue it with the hot glue. And the reason I'm doing that, well, is because I haven't actually glued that lace down. So I'm hoping that gluing it with the hot glue is kind of going to hold the lace down as well. So hopefully that's kind of glued enough. Right, so that's that piece, and then obviously inside you could just tuck a couple of journaling cards, oops, you know, or pieces. So might actually do them kind of that way round. So we've got kind of the blue, yeah, like that. So that's that piece. Again, I did just suddenly spot kind of, we've got this piece obviously, so we could glue that on, you know, so it's just, you've got a little label really. I mean, again, you don't have to, but I'm just kind of using up things that otherwise would just be possibly, you know, wasted. So again, just kind of wet glue this one like that, and just glue that down there. Bring the tissue back. Okay, right, so I love that. And again, you know, it's up to you really whether you wanted to kind of pop some string around this. I did buy some new string because you know, my string had run out, and God forbid that I would be without my string because I love it. So just kind of get my new roll. So my string, I just buy that from a shop here called The Range. It's just normal string. You know, I say normal, I don't know whether string comes in different types. It's yeah, it's not really got any description as in, you know, as to what kind of string, whether it's a certain thickness or anything like that. So I can't tell you, I'm afraid, anything kind of more about it, other than, to me, it's just normal string. But I know that you can get like that really thick type string that you'd kind of do parcels with. It's not that string. It's quite thin. So if that kind of helps anybody, that's the type of string it is. So, you know, you could kind of have it tied up with some string like that. I don't know whether the string actually kind of goes with this kit, because to me this feels quite a kind of glamorous kind of kit, and the string feels a little bit more shabby chic, so I'm not sure about the string there. So again, that's another thing that I might not glue that on yet and just kind of have a think about it while I decide whether or not to use the string. But yeah, so that's those pieces. So it's coming on. We've made a few pieces now. So obviously we made this gorgeous, I don't know what to call this, but edge piece. I was debating whether to have it as a kind of belly band down the middle or at the side. I think probably I prefer it at the side, but you know, I could change my mind yet. So we've got that. We've decorated this one. And then we obviously just, we just decorated these just with a little bit of glossy accents there on that. And then a bit of glossy accents on this one as well, which obviously is very much still in the drying process. Yeah, so we've got quite a few bits made now, you know, and yeah, I think it's all kind of coming together quite nicely. And as I say, I haven't decided yet whether I will actually kind of be doing this as a huge embellishment kit or whether I will be, you know, using this to make a journal. I haven't quite decided, but yeah, no doubt we'll come back for some more kind of, you know, playing around with the kit. So yeah, I hope you liked what we created, and will come along and kind of join me next time. I'd really love it if you could, you know, give a thumbs up to the video. I love to read your comments and all that, you know, as well, and really, really appreciate everyone's support. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks then. Bye.